Hello again, class. We're going to continue with our step through homework 5, and we'll finish it in this video. What you should have, I'm at the same situation I was at the end of the last video, which is I have 3 things open which I'm interested in. One is the Google Chrome browsing of our file, which is shown here. I also have the file open in Notepad++, which is here. And I also happen to have the folder open that has my elements in it. And you can see we were working with homework5.htm last time. What we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to add multimedia items. And the 3 things we're going to add are going to be a sound, a fire truck sound, a cat video, and a badger picture. And basically we're just learning the tags which allow us to enter those elements in. Now, we have to be careful as we're entering them. Again, naming things is very important, so they have specific names associated with them, so we'll try to be careful and link up to the right names. Notice that these documents aren't actually put in this HTML document. The HTML document is just referencing those. So if I ever want to have a web page and multimedia items, I have to have the multimedia items available also. So having them all in one folder like this is key to being able to use them. So let's start out by adding the fire truck sound. The descriptions of how to do this are both in the PowerPoint on HTML and also in the handout I gave on HTML reference. So along with this video, you should be looking at those and referencing them as you create your own items. Okay, so let's go over to the HTML and add the sound. And I'm going to add the sound just after the statement, here's the player for the fire truck sound. And that's actually what we're doing. We're adding an audio player there. So we need to include the HTML associated with that. It starts out with an audio control. So I'm going to put a tag there, and it's simply the word audio, followed by controls. And that's going to insert a player in here to play our sound. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to indicate where that sound is coming from. And that's that file we were just looking at. And I specify that by using a source tag, followed by src, kind of standing for source, equals. And here's where we're going to put the name of the file. And it's a double quote, and then the name of the file, which is fire truck, and the F and the T are capitalized. And the extension or the type of file is an MP3, so I'm going to put .mp3 after it. That's the extension's part of the name. And now I have to say what type of file that is, even though we said it was an MP3. We need to specifically tell the browser that this is an MP3 file. How we do that is we have type an equal sign, and then quote audio /MP3. And then I'm going to close the quote and close the tag. I also need to close the audio tag here also. So that source was a part of the audio tag. It was the audio tags were bracketing it. So I close that by doing /audio. And that's all we should need to have to do to add that player in there to play the fire truck sound. So let's save it and go over to my document that I'm browsing in Chrome, refresh it, and you should see a player show up there. Now the player should have the time as 8 seconds, and it should be all nice and dark. If it's kind of grayed out and doesn't have information, maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you spelled the name of the file wrong or something like that. But now if I click on the play button for the player, we hear the sound playing. So if you've done that, you've done it correctly. If not, take a look at all the text that you entered there and make sure you didn't make any mistakes. Leave off a quote or anything like that. Okay. Similarly, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to play the cat video. A lot of similarities between what we just did. We're just going to be using a different type of media here, and a different control. So once again, we're going to start out by saying controls, but this time it's going to be a video control. So we type a tag video, and instead of putting, well, I also want to size this player because the cat video is kind of big, so we're going to set the height and width. And we've done this with other things before, particularly with images. We say height equals inside the video tag, and we're going to go 170 for height, and width is going to be 330. And then, like we did for the audio, we need to have the keyword controls in there also. Now I think we've talked about this before, but how do you set the height and width? There's got to be a proportion associated with the actual height and width of the video or the image. If I go back over to my folder where that image is stored, that's the cat.mp4, and right mouse click on it and look at properties, it will tell me, if I go over to details, it will tell me the current height and width. So the current width is 640, the current height is 356. So that gives me an aspect ratio of how big it is. So I want to keep my aspect ratio about the same, even though I'm changing those values. And you can see that 356 is a little over half the size. The height is a little over half the size as the width. So when I set my values over here, I have my height 170, a little over half the size of width. And if you don't use that aspect ratio, the video will look very distorted in size. Okay, it will be too wide or too high based on what you've done. Now, like I did with the fire truck sound, I need to indicate where that file is. It's again source, and it's the same general idea. Source, and then src equals, and then quote the name. And I simply called my video cat.mp4 to make it easy for me to type in here. And then I'm going to say the type again. Type equals a quote, double quote, and then in this case, instead of being an audio, it's a video, and it's an MP4, and close, and I once again close my video tag. So I've just added that video with a changed height and width. I was careful to say the right name for the sound, and I can save this. Right name for the video, I mean, and browse it. And now the cat should show up in there. Now, my screen's getting kind of full. Okay, if you like, you can resize by going over here to the ... over in Chrome, and there's a zoom here, so I could make my image smaller if I wanted to fit everything on the page, or I could make it bigger if I want to see it better. I'll make it fairly big so I can see when I run my video. So now I'll run my cat video, and we have the cat walking along, and he's going to play with the printer a little bit. And it seems to be working okay. I'll just stop it and go back one more time over to my HTML. And the last thing I want to do is add an image. And we've added an image before in class. The tag is, again, right after here is the badger, we'll have the image. The tag is image. And then we, like the video and the sound, we need to say where that image is. We're connecting it up with files that we have available. Once again, it just puts the HTML in the .htm document. It doesn't actually insert the image in there as a document. It only shows up because we're referencing it. And this is called badger. It's a JPG. That's the style. And again, I'll set a height and width. So height equals 200. And width equals 330, and again I paid kind of attention to what the actual height and width was and tried to keep the same ratio of height to width. Okay. And all of those elements like the height and width and so on are on the handout for the homework, so you can look at that as you create your document. And let's save this. And once again, refresh our screen. And at this point, I have my audio player, my video, and my badger down at the bottom. And it looks pretty similar to what was shown on the handout. Okay. So if you've got all of that, you got your homework done, what you need to do is you need to take that folder that you were doing all your work in, zip that up, and submit it over to Blackboard in the Homework 5 area, and you'll be all done. Thank you, and look forward to the next video.